It says it's now streaming on Facebook. Oh, I'm going to admit someone. What does your screen look like? Because you may want to set up just the main view so that that's what shares onto Facebook and is recorded.
Well, right now I'm still looking at, okay. Oh, it's you and me both. And it's
I'll wait, and that'll get there about 5 minutes from now.
Okay, so let me get out of there and go back to Zoom. It's Tom Cox.
Oh, I hope everything's okay.
Tom? Tom? Hey. I can. You're kind of cutting.
Hi, Alan.
Oh, you want the Zoom number for class? Okay, let's see.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna just wanted to say hi real quick.
Let me figure out where it is. I'm on there.
We'll see if we can get Lindy or Tom in class here.
Okay, let me look it up this way. Yeah, it should be.
I think Lindy is giving instructions on Tom about what class number to log into, so he should be here in just a minute. I'm sorry I don't have a piano to play for you all. Well, I do have a piano, but I don't play it. But I do have some thunder going on in a minute, and so that'll be exciting for entertainment. I don't have any jokes. I don't have anything to fill the silence right now. Sorry. Hi, Diana. I unmuted you for a second to say hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good. I'm good.
Good. I'm glad you're able to join us for these.
Oh, I love them. Thank you.
Thank you
for having them. I really enjoyed them.
Good. I'm going to go ahead and mute you again while we wait on Tom.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Lindy, you're unmuted right now. I'm assuming Tom will be here in a minute.
He is. He couldn't find the class number. So he said he's good now. He should be popping on any minute.
Okay.
And we are on Facebook Live.
Yep. So if you'll monitor Facebook, I'll go ahead and mute you and close off your camera. Or you did. Okay. And I'm going to unmute Roby here for a minute so he can say hi.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Has it started to storm where you are yet, or thunder?
It's rumbled a few times, but not too bad.
That's all I have to offer for entertainment right now, thunder rumbling. I'm not an instructor, so I can't say anything yet to that, and I don't have any jokes. So
I have an all-time favorite of one of those that about 20 years ago, the July 4th fest downtown, and you have the fireworks and the orchestra and all that playing, and there was a thunderstorm off to the northwest right behind all the things. And after a while, the thunderstorm got bigger than the fireworks, so they sort of said, okay, let's go with that. Anyway, I'm here.
Good. Okay. I'm just letting people join in, admitting people as we're waiting on Tom. I see Tom now in the corner.
Mr. Fire tablet.
Need to see if I can't hear anybody.
I'm going to rename his Fire tablet. Can you hear us yet, Tom?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I had it up here. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Because a while ago I was testing this out, and didn't pick up the piano, so I was afraid I had a bad connection. Well, okay, we'll just stay with this. Yeah.
Okay.
I was late getting in because I didn't have the Zoom number, and but I've been here right here for an hour, so I'm good.
You're warmed up. Good. Well, we're still letting some people in.
I'm warmed up. Yeah. Sure.
So if you have a
I
joke to
found
tell
a
us, and while we're letting people in,
microphone, Gina. I have a
Oh, good.
story. It was sent to me.
if you want to share it while we're still admitting people, go right ahead.
Yes, it's a crazy story. I don't know if I should. Let me see if I can find it from a friend of mine. All right, so I need to find it first. No, I'll do it next time.
Okay.
I want to tell the story right, because it's only funny if you tell it right.
I'm very
What
bad at
about you?
telling
Do you have
jokes
one?
and very bad at telling stories. So, yeah.
Tom, I used
It's
to
So
have,
you decline. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to keep a thing in my
You tell
wallet
them
of
on.
all
Go
the
ahead.
punchline jokes, in case I forgot them.
Yeah. Oh, good. Mike's joining us.
Yeah.
Good.
Steve.
Good to see you, Mike. Yep, Mike. Yeah. Let me do this right here. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Oh, likewise. There we go. I'm unmuted.
Mike, I think you have your microphone. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you today.
Likewise.
And there's Janet. Good to see you. There's Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Oh, there's Sandra. Yeah, Sandra. Good to see you. See
Now,
who
Tom,
else
you
is here
don't have
today.
the ability to unmute or mute people, so I'll help you with that today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just found that out. So I learned as I go.
That's all right.
And,
That's what we're all doing.
Oh, Alan, good. You're here. And Ralph, you're here. Great. And looks like some other people are going to join us. It's good. We have a good turnout today.
Yeah.
Lindy and looks like Bernadette are coming on. Let me take a look around here. And there's Lynn.
So I recommend you all do a speaker view
Oh,
if you
yeah.
haven't already, so
There's
you
Diana.
can
Good.
focus on Tom. And Tom, it's a few minutes after 2 o'clock. So anytime you want to get started, I'll mute myself and you can get started.
Okay, I'll start right now. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. And I hope you've had a good week since I saw you last, however you define good. It's a bit cloudy in my neighborhood and it's been drizzling and raining. But I went to the grocery store early this morning. I found out that Kroger's a good place. It's good to go to Kroger's on Wednesday morning, I guess, because everybody comes on Tuesday. Except for one thing right now, I think they have so many of their workers working overtime that this morning they must have given a break to most of their employees, because although it was easy to shop, there was only one line open, so that took a while. In any case, to be outside there was very nice. I like the temperature today. I kind of like this. I don't like this weather for long, but I kind of like it for a day or two. And the reason is has to do with where I want to focus today a little bit. I wanted to focus on I'll give you two words here. The topic of during this time of when we're all kind of social distanced, still points, or still point, or you could say still points. It's sort of a contemplative term that I heard in the writings of a priest who has since passed away. He's a very famous writer. His name was Henry Nouwen. He was a Dutch priest who worked in Canada. He taught at Harvard for a while. He taught spiritual formation. Then he went on to work in Canada. He's written a number of books, and he introduced the word still point into my vocabulary as a point in yourself that you know is solid and secure, and it's grounded in something. For him as a priest, and for me as a Christian, that grounding, of course, is in Christ, but it can be in other things also. And I bring this up because some of you, like me, still might experience times during this this kind of lockdown where you get a little anxious again. We get tired of this, we get weary. Maybe it's a little harder to go about the task of providing just basic living. I don't know. But there are certainly moments in everybody's life where we feel off balance, with things are sort of out of control, and that really bothers us when we feel like we don't have control. And one of the things I do during those times, and I do every day, is take a few moments and find this still point. Sometimes I find it by just simply sitting still, getting my body still, closing my eyes, and just opening myself up to God. And I'm sort of listening, but I'm just sort of being present. And in that, when I sit, I never sit more than 20 minutes, but within a few minutes, I become still again and quiet inside. And then it's amazing how that kind of lifts me, and then I can go about the next part of the day, and things seem to go smoother. I don't try so hard. I'll let go. I keep letting go, and knowing that I'll be taken care of, and my wife will be taken care of. And right now, that's really important to me because I'm my wife's caregiver, and so she's on my mind constantly. Not all the time. Get on the piano, and it's not. Sit in that meditation, that still point space, and I'm not. But I know that I also find still point that for me, certain objects or organic things help me to find the still point just by looking at them. So visually, I can find still points in art. But certain art pieces really speak to me on a deep level. I like flowers, and I don't know a lot about them, but I've been planting them in the backyard for years in pots. And those are still points too. It's a place to go and see. And that I see, of course, it's like looking up at the stars. How can this be? You know, it's glorious. So those are all still points. And so I ask you to reflect today on if you have a still point or still points that are always trustworthy. A friend of mine said to me recently, we were in a Zoom group, and the question was, when everything sort of seems out of control or off balance, or you're in this very strange time, what is there that is, he said, what I always do is I go back to whatever has been very secure to me in all my life, that always remains true and secure, and I can find peace, and I can find assurance that all is well, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And I like that. So keep that in your mind. It's that place you can go back to. I'm going to hear from you after I play the first piece. We're going to talk in between this time. I'll start with a piece in order to kind of introduce this concept of it's a kind of still point piece. It's an old spiritual. I don't know who wrote it. Goes back to the second half of the 19th century. And many of you will have heard it before. It's called Deep River. I've known it since childhood. The text is something like, deep river, want to cross over big leap there, Jordan, deep river, something about wanting to come home. I have it on here, but I don't want to take our time to find it quickly. You can Google it and find out the text, but you get the idea. I really got attracted to it a few years back when I watched an old YouTube video of the famous African-American soprano. Oh man, I just had her in my mind. It just fell out. Anderson. She sang for, I think it was John Kennedy's presidential inauguration out in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and she sang Deep River. And I really loved the pianist, the arrangement, and of course the way she sang, Marian Anderson. So I started using his harmonies, and from there, then I began to use my own. So remember today, when we think about music, there are 3 or 4 elements to keep in mind. I'll remind you what they are: rhythm, melody, harmony, and form or structure. How is the piece organized? In this piece, you go ahead and discern for yourself whether you sense that the most dominant element is the melody, and it certainly is very lyrical, or whether it's the harmony, the rhythm. And I think you'll hear the structure pretty clear. There's a part that's repeated, and I sort of reharmonize that, new chords. There's a middle part, different key, then the return to that A theme. All right.
Tom, I want to ask
First
you
of
a
all,
quick
let me get some
question.
feedback. Raise your hand and you can make yeah,
Would you try
go ahead.
a little piece of that without the headset plugged in so we can see if the sound quality is a little different?
Sure. I'll be happy to. Yeah,
Thank you.
let's do that. Sound good. I want everybody to know that I've ordered a microphone. I got some help, and hopefully I'll have it. It'll be in tomorrow and we'll get it up and running better and I'll get better sound next week. All right, let's try it without them. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going. I'm just kidding. Is that better?
What do you all think? Give a thumbs up if you
It's
like it
about the
better.
same. Jeanette's
with-
going like about the same.
It's about the same.
Speak up, unmute your mic, Jeanette.
Yes, it's about
All
the
right,
same.
Tell me,
Tom.
Jeanette, what do you think?
At first, it sounded kind of promised. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's about the same.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, it's about the same. It started out sounding better,
Yeah.
and then it kind of got bad again.
Yeah, it has a tendency to just pause
Okay.
a little bit in the
Yeah.
middle of
Right,
the
right.
thing, which makes it not flow quite as smoothly as I'm sure you're playing it.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
The video.
Okay, well, because of that, Mike, were you saying that the way I just did it, it has a tendency to like leave a little bit out, but the first way didn't do that?
No, both did it, and even when you're just talking, it's like there's a
Is it
little bit
cutting
of a
in and out?
hesitation. Yeah. It's not quite that too bad, but
Okay.
but there is just a tiny amount of hesitation, sort of start-stop kind of thing.
I think it has more to do with the
Okay.
connection. With it
I'll,
cutting in and out, it's more to do with the connection.
Yeah, I
I
don't
do
think it
too. I
has
don't think we
anything
have a
to
good
do with
connection
anything
today.
that Tom is doing. I think
It
it's
was
just
it took
the Zoom connection.
I think you're right, Mike. I had, for some reason today, it took a long time when I went put the code in for it to finally come up, and then to get to the next place too. It just took a long time. There's Kathleen. Hey, and I see an A. Thompson. What's your first name? Would you unmute your mic and tell me your first name? A. Thompson. It may be not your name because you may be using somebody else's device. I don't know.
That's mine. I'm Kathleen's granddaughter.
Say that again for me, please.
I'm Kathleen's granddaughter.
Oh, are you? Okay, good.
I
Yes, and what's
invited,
your first name?
Alexis.
That's fine. Go ahead, Kathleen.
I invited Alexis.
Go
to
ahead,
come
Kathleen.
and- I invited Alexis to join us today. She plays violin and clarinet.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for inviting her. You're so welcome to be here, Alexa.
Thank you.
Glad you're here, and I see you, Lynn.
Yes,
We
I
had
don't
Rena
know.
last week. It looks like she's on today, but Rena, we never see your face. Okay,
No,
it may
there's
be the
something
way you
wrong-
want it. That's fine.
there's something wrong with
Let
my
me just look a
video.
minute because there, like I said, some other showed.
Can you hear me?
Say it again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's
Yes.
something-
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. There's just something wrong with my camera on my computer, so that's why you can't see me.
Okay. Okay. Understand. Glad you're here. And just everybody, alert everybody to this too, what we just said is we don't have a great connection today. We'll try to make sure we have a better one next week, best we can. And hopefully I'll have the new microphone here and everything will be a lot better. I'll meet with the staff in between next week and now, and I'll try out also my cell phone. iPhones I hear make a better sound, but I just heard that recently and I didn't want to try it today unless I ran it through the staff first and see what they thought. All right. So we're talking about still points here. And so I want a little feedback from you. And that piece I just played, even though it was in and out, best we can do, I viewed these little notes, and we didn't sit anywhere too long, but I did play it rhythmically in a way different than other things I always play. I'll say this much, and then I'll get your comments about any of those elements of music that stood out to you the most, that those being melody, harmony, rhythm, and structure. I played it in a piano style or performing style. It's known as rubato. And it means that you can play with the tempo. You can stretch things out and then you can move quicker. And it kind of breathes this back and forth. And you know, a lot of jazz has this very steady pulse of some kind. But jazz musicians often too also use this rubato style, often as an introduction to a song or something. But for me, this hymn sounds much better. It's just an instrumental, as a piano instrumental, played in that sort of rubato style. And then when I went, and so the first part, you know, I played. And these little things here, for me, those are just little momentary still points. See, still points can be just momentary, something you see that catches your attention, that lets you know that, okay, all is well. So I played it. And then when I went to the middle section, very loose with the time. I keep the meter very steady. Just kind of retard here, slow it down before I come to the cadence. And I played rubato again.
Tom, Alan
just
has been
give me some feedback.
Patiently waiting to ask you a question. So Alan has a question for you.
Yeah, Alan.
I was
Alan,
following your original definition of still points and how to reach those still points, and you suggested art and flowers and so forth, and then you play the spiritual, which is Deep River. But I think coming down to the musical elements of rhythm and melody and so forth, I think in this case, the melody and the lyrics are inextricably tied together because the music kind of defines the emotions of the lyrics. And this title, Deep River, deep rivers run very slow rather than a bubbling stream. They run very slow and they have tremendous barrier to it. And it seems like the lyrics are longing to cross this river to a destination. And there's this moment where there's a little bit of longing and a little bit of destination in mind. But for that reason, the tempo was very slow and it was very legato to make these lyrics kind of fit in with that. And that led me to a question. And my question is, to reach these still points, is that the poetry in the lyrics along with the music that take us there, or is it more reachable like through a tone poem, which is purely improvisational and no lyrics?
Good. I mean, that's an astounding observation, and it's a great question. But I shouldn't be astounded by you because you always astound me, so I need to get used to that. Okay, here are the lyrics, and then I'll talk to you about that. I'll just say that they are what really influenced my instrumental interpretation. In other words, I had them back in my mind at the time in some form or another. I couldn't remember them didn't have them quite memorized when I was talking to y'all earlier. Deep River, my home is over this is like, my home, it's a big leap. My home is over Jordan. Deep River, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. What a wonderful metaphor. I want to be in a new land, a new country. Obviously harkens back to, I would say, two periods when in the history of the Jews, when they finally crossed over into what was then the promised land. And but that theme runs throughout Judaism and Christianity too. Movement toward a new country and new land. So I paused as I think I had certain words in my mind, especially I made that leap. I tended to make it sort of quick after I stayed on that low note for a minute. Cross over into, then I resort and I kind of let that cadence slow itself down before I went to it. So for me, I hope I'm answering your question. For me, the lyrics were highly influential, even if I didn't have exactly all the words in my head at the same time, because I'm listening for exactly how I want to play it. I know what's going on in the lyric at that point in time that I'm trying to express through the music. And you're right, in this piece, the lyric and the melody are inextricably linked. I can't do that. I wouldn't try to sing for you. But so there was but I think that the melody of this song really comes forward in the way I tried to play it as such too. There are other things though I did to it and one of those was that rubato thing in order to bring out this thing of, Ralph, did you raise your hand?
I did.
Okay.
Reflecting on,
Ralph, just there you go.
can you hear me? Reflecting.
Go ahead, Ralph. We can hear you, yes.
Okay, reflecting on the four elements, it seemed to me that form was not one of the focuses. Just because ABA form is very commonly used, there wasn't some really clear rhythm going on. So I came down with both melody and harmony as the two key elements. The lyrics I left out because you weren't singing them. We didn't have them in front of us. I happen to know them, but that didn't seem to be the clear focus of what you're doing. So I would say it was the melody with the way you harmonized it so differently.
Y'all are doing great with your observations. Yes, Jeanette, that's good. I'll talk to you a little bit about the harmony briefly in just a minute. Jeanette, unmute yourself. Not yet, can't hear you yet. You'll get it. Jeanette, you're still muted for some reason.
Jeanette, don't touch anything and let me see if I can unmute you, okay? I'm not able to unmute you. Do you see a chat box where you can type in your question? There you
There
are.
you go.
There you are. We hear you now.
Okay, good. The unmute button or mute button kept going away. Okay, I was going to, all these observations are so good, and some of them tie in with what I was going to say. I was just simply, all I had to add was that anytime you're playing a jazz piece on the piano, harmony is obviously going to be, if not the biggest element, a big element, because that's what defines jazz, is the harmony. But in this piece, I would have to argue that the most important, if we're going to give precedence to one element, would have to be the melody. Because as other people have already said, even without the words, the melody is so plaintive, so poignant, that even without your wonderful harmonization, the melody just stands alone. It's just, it's one of those melodies that you listen to and you think, how did someone come up with that? There are only so many notes in a scale, but how did someone come up with just the perfect notes? And especially in this case, the perfect notes to go with the words. But that's my feeling, is that this is a song that is really that the melody to me takes precedence.
That's right.
Go ahead. Alan has a question.
And you said, how can that be? Because there's only so many notes. There's 12 different notes, and then it starts repeating at different registers. Let me tell you something else that's really interesting about this melody too. Yes.
Tom,
go ahead. But go ahead.
Oh, this is Alan Bell. I was just wondering about the harmony and rhythm. It seems to me that you metered that pretty strictly, even though you were using some liberties with the tempo. It was fairly strict. But it seems like that was all maintained with the counter melody that was going under a very solo line of melody. The harmony piece was kind of underneath, and it kept that flowing tempo, just like the river. So the image of this river, this barrier river, is constantly in the piece.
Well, you're right. In my body, in the beginning, I'm feeling the pulse here. Although I wasn't playing it always in that time, I would pull back and push ahead. That pulse is underlying. Also, I created a melodic counterpoint in the left hand. Melody, secondary melody. See, that note right there, we're fine just here. We're stationary, even if I play these. But the minute I play this note, it's moving us forward. Hear that? And so that little counter melody is very important to the harmony, to pushing the next phrase of the melody onward. And I continue to do that throughout the piece. I did it in the end of the next one. And I could have sat on this chord, but I wanted to kind of move this on a little bit. Now you got to go on. So that's a secondary, those harmonies are moving us too, and they're taking us to places we don't expect. When I came to the cadence at the end of this, and instead of playing this, I played. And I come to it. And these little notes here, just like lots of fun movies. That's good observation, Alan. And then, so that underlying tempo for me was right here. Even though I didn't play everything right, and I would come into it, I would move ahead of it, I would come back to it. But in the bridge, I actually played the bridge in this tempo. I played it just a hair slower, I think. It's really close to that original tempo. Yeah, well, y'all are just really listening good, really good. All right, let's move on. I know what I'm saying. This melody, you know, we talk about 12 notes and how beautiful this melody is. Look, to me, what's incredible about this. This melody only uses 5 notes. It never varies from those 5 notes. I'm in D flat. So it's D flat, E flat, up the scale, F. I skip up to A flat and B flat, and it starts over, D flat. And when I play these out of key notes, I use pentatonic on that, but a different key. And so that's pretty amazing that we get such a beautiful melody out of just 5 notes. Pentatonic scale, 5-note scale. Pentatonic scale is very, very common in spirituals and in a lot of hymns, older hymns, you know. Some of the modern ones, no, but some that have been dumbed down. I don't like those. But this is a brilliant use of the pentatonic scale. And pentatonic scale is really old. It's probably the oldest scale of that has been determined in cultures way back. It has roots in Africa.
Also, it's
next
much
piece I'm going to play.
Tom. Also, it's much used.
Oh yes, it's used all the time.
Pentatonic scale is what is the lead-in to Someone to Cry Over Me.
Oh yes, it is. You're exactly right. But Alan, you'll just keep thinking. All of you can just think more and more songs. If you get familiar with that scale, it's of a major scale. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. It skips the it skips the 4th and it skips the 7th of the scale. All right, I'm going to move on. Let's see. I want to have time. I'm going to play. I'd like to get in 2 more. So. I'm going to play this one. This is, I'm going to play it just briefly. This is a tune that moves a little quicker, and I'll keep the tempo steady in this one. And so you listen and decide if it's primarily, I'll say it's not form. So you got to make a decision between, is it primary melody or is it primarily harmony? This is called All Across the City. It's written by a very famous jazz guitarist named Jim Hall. He was a you know, those who know the history of jazz guitars say that there are like 3 or 4 jazz guitarists in whom all others that come after them, you can trace their roots back to these people. One is Django Reinhardt of the 30s and early part of this past century. And the other one of the others would be Jim Hall. And Jim Hall, born in 1913, died in 2013, lived to be 83, was still playing. I know at least 80 because I saw him on YouTube. Playing great, just fantastic. If you go to iTunes and check him out, there's a lot of albums. He's very famous for having made 2 recordings with the pianist Bill Evans, one called Intermodulations, I think. Another, all right, and then another one. And what's so wonderful about that is that it's very hard for pianists and guitarists to play together and not get in the way of each other because both chordal and melodic instruments. And on those recordings, those guys did a marvelous job. And they played this tune on that. This is one of his signature tunes, Jim Hall's, and it's called All Across the City. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what's going on all across the nation, across the cities at this time? You know, But you know, oddly, I just realized it now. I have this sense of, I don't watch the news very much, but y'all are my connection really in many ways, and a couple of other groups. I have this interesting sense of solidarity in our country, in the citizens, and in our cooperation as citizens, and not just cooperation, as we feel an impulse, a good one, to reach out and help others in some way that comes to our mind, that we come in contact with or whatever. So there's a great sense of solidarity in some very positive ways right now, in my mind. And so although we're in the house and I see my neighbors and wave, we just say, hi, how you doing, staying well, and all that. I think it's a really interesting thing about that. All across the city. All right. Some of you who haven't spoken yet,
I see some people
Just
clapping for you,
jump
but I don't
in
know
and
if you can
say
see
something.
them. That was
Fine.
nice.
Oh yeah, go ahead and clap. I need to see that. I need encouragement. It's not like they're having a class out here, you know.
Everybody's
You're
clapping.
smiling,
There
so I guess
you
that's
go.
good. Yes, Kathleen, thank you. And isn't that a neat piece? So some of you.
I
Bye,
see
Alexis.
that Rena
Thanks for
has a
coming.
question for you.
Yeah, Tom, I have a comment.
Okay.
You just said something
Rena?
about sometimes it's hard for jazz pianists
Sure.
and guitarists to play together. Well, I heard Oscar Peterson and Joe Pass
Yep.
together, and they sounded very good to me.
They're equal, absolutely. They are the Bill Evans and Jim Hall thing. They got it fantastic, absolutely. Just really, really good. What about this piece? Was for you the dominant element melody, or was it harmony? Somebody's calling me. It looks like random number. Was the dominant thing? Listen to the melody.
Feel free to
I mean,
unmute
how
yourselves.
interesting is this melody without the harmony?
I think
Yeah,
it's the
unmute
melody.
yourselves.
The melody.
Melody for you? Okay. Listen to the melody. Now, listen to the melody. You know, it's a lot of repeated notes, right? Now listen to the melody again. What happens on those repeated notes? So what am I doing on those repeated notes to keep them interesting and to keep us moving forward in an interesting way?
Changing the harmony.
Yes.
You're changing.
No, slightly, but very nicely. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he has this chord, beautiful chord. This is a simple jazz chord. Janet was right earlier. We talked about one of the key ingredients that jazz is a harmony. So you have this. This is called a ninth chord, D minor ninth chord. I just added there. I just happened to add and that note right there, the 11th. Next, I'll just keep playing the same note. Listen to this. Hear that inner melody. Bring us back to the first note. But that's a different chord I've gone to. This is the first one. This is the first chord on that note. Same note coming up now, different chord. But somehow you don't catch that. It sounds like it's the same at first, but it's so interesting. It's not. And he does the same harmonic idea. That's those changes in harmony that are subtle. They give a certain impressionism to me about this piece itself. It's like impressionistic about Over Across the City. I played it rather forceful this time. But and I've heard Jim Hall and Bill Evans play it that way. But then recently I heard Jim Hall play it very reflective, and it seems to work obviously both ways. That's a nice little change in the melody. It has a beautiful melody, I agree. But it's his harmony, the way he's harmonized it. I'm not using my harmony, I'm using his. Now we're back to the ninth chord. Actually, he's gonna some minor repeated notes, but what keeps them interesting? Listen. It's so nice. Instead of octaves there. What do he does is he makes that go forward like that. Bass line. That's my harmony. Change of key here, so it's unexpected. Minor. We started off really in sort of D minor, F major. It started in D minor. It went to, some of your musicians, it went to the what's called the related major, F major. Suddenly at the end of the piece, we're in D flat major. That's a foreign key. So we call it foreign key. It's unexpected, but as he moves it there, how does he get us there so smoothly? It's the harmony. Here we are. But he's never content to sit there. And all those chords seem to flow right into each other, and they take us right back to the first chord.
Yeah.
So it's
Tom?
this beautifully constructed tune, and all his tunes are like that. They're marvelously constructed in their, not just in their, so much in their form, but in how they're his compositional techniques of taking a simple melody and expanding it, and then adding these gorgeous harmonies underneath. I need to move on. That's me.
Just a quick comment. You're adding an awful lot of movement by rolling that left hand. Those chords are not just blocked, they're moving.
Yeah. So what am I doing there that might be related to Jim Hall? I mean, think of the instrument he played. Any thoughts, Jeanette?
Kind of strumming, almost like a strumming effect, like a guitar.
Yeah. Jim Hall often plays it. He arpeggiates his chords often. I mean, when he's playing this sort of rubato style, and even when he's playing in tempo. This tune, you know, so I played the first 8 bars rubato, out of tune, and then I established the time. So I can go up, or I can strum downward. It's more interesting. Interline. Very important. Those little subtleties to listen for in jazz. I'm going to move on. Anybody else, real quick? Gonna move on. Last piece, one of my favorite pieces. All the pieces I just played are different, but they're favorites, but in their own category. This is a piece by great jazz pianist Keith Jarrett, who's written such a huge amount of music, and it's all so different. You can't pin him down, but he's a great pianist and composer. And this piece, this is just a piece called My Song. So you listen for it and think about those 4 elements and see what you think. Thank you. Appreciate
Yay,
that.
lots of claps
Yeah.
again.
Say it again.
I said lots of claps again. I don't know if you can see them, so I just wanted to
Yes,
let you
I
know.
did. What for you was primary in that piece? If you could say one or the other, and so sometimes we can't, they're just so intermeshed. Melody or harmony. Now kept the rhythm steady. So it wasn't rhythm didn't just jump out at you. And the structure, not so unusual. Again, you hear this melody and it gets repeated, and then you hear this middle section where there's a key change. New melody. Listen to that chord. So,
Mike Paulus has his hand up if you want to answer his question.
yeah, Mike, please.
Well, it's not a question, just a comment. On that one, I actually felt the harmony part more. And for
Yes.
some reason, I found it oddly reminiscent of the song Over the Rainbow in the way the harmony worked in that.
It's the harmony in Over the Rainbow that pushes that melody forward. That's it.
Yeah.
The same way. What's that? If I do it in this key. Octave. Kind of boring note unless you. Etc. That's a couple of notes there in the melody. Yeah, same thing in this one too. Melody is very simple, but it's beautifully lyrical. It's that harmony melody moves slowly. Harmony moves at the buttons slowly too, but the left hand has to keep this steady pulse. Come on, my other observations, anything. Comment on my playing, anything.
Okay. Just an observation I had. It seemed to me that you started with the left hand and right hand kind of just a regular sort of a ballad kind of sound, a very even and steady rhythm, but then you changed it to a little more of a Latin sound in the left hand.
May have. I didn't catch that, but that's interesting. Yeah.
I unmuted Ralph, so.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently rhythm is not the correct answer, but that's the thing that hit me the most was the boom, boom, that was going on throughout the entire piece, kind of driving it to me.
The rhythm, yes. Now, see, you're right about that. Is that what was driving the piece was the rhythm. Yeah, that's what was driving it. So it's tough in this piece, isn't it? I mean, because you have this gorgeous melody, but the thing that even makes the melody so gorgeous is the harmonies underneath, and then they're going because we have this steady pulse going. Yeah, see, it's not easy. I mean, there's no one answer, and it's not right. Sometimes I put this on you. So that's why I always say, what for you? What for you?
I think the syncopation too.
Say it again. Was that Diana? Say it again.
Yeah, the syncopation and the rhythm really moved it forward too.
It did.
That's what hit me a lot was the syncopation along with the harmonies and the melody too.
Yes, maybe you mean this by syncopation. I keep the left hand very steady eighth notes. But But when I play this melody in the right hand, I play it sort of ad libitum. I mean, I take liberties in the rhythm of the melody. Steady. I didn't play it. That's the steadiest spot I've played before. That's the first time I played a steady spot. I'll make you ahead. Anticipate. I put an anticipation in there. I move to that next note quicker, one beat quicker, and the chord too. So you don't always hear each chord change on the downbeat. I did it, and the right hand is moving forward ahead of the harmony. Then I'll pull back. So the right hand is in this sort of rubato style, but the left hand is just staying right in there where the beat is. It's a good point about the rhythm there, Diana. That's what's going on there, and that creates a tension between them. And then when they come together, it's a sense of resolution. So in this piece, you can hear another aspect that performers are really going for, and composers too, and it's breathing in the piece. That's the ability to move things along and then pull them back, and for like a breath, like a whole breath cycle. In, slight pause at the top, out, so that your phrases breathe. And sometimes those phrases are short, depending on the style of the music and the tempo. But sometimes there are these long phrases in this one. It's a very romantic style.
Tom, I just wanted to let you know that it is 3:06, and so I don't know if anybody else has any more questions, but we really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Well, we went overtime today, but I was having fun. I'm glad.